Hi everyone. We are going to have fun for an hour, probably less, probably more, decorating, making a cake topper, this little cute girl figurine. I'm going to demonstrate how to make this little figure. I've already uploaded on my page details about what you should have ready in case that you want to do this figure later. So we'll just start in a sec. Okay, just setting everything in here. As you can see on the list, we do need some paste. I will always suggest for figurine modeling to use paste like Saracino or the Bybora sugar paste. I'm going to use both of them tonight. It's a very basic kind of set of equipment needed for making this figure. Literally what you need is just a Dresden tool and a craft knife, a palette knife, whatever. A scissor, but all the tools required are already uploaded on my page if you want to check exactly what you need. You will also be able to see along the demonstration what I'm going to use, and you can also ask questions. I will reply to all your questions after the demo. So thank you for joining me, first of all. Now I've got already a printed figure, and this is the scale I'm going to use. I will start with this skin tone paste. As suggested on the printing, I've got 50 grams of skin color paste, is a Saracino paste. I'm going to use around 40 grams to create the face of the figure, and the 10 grams, sorry, this paste, it does have a few little crumbs, which I'm going to remove. I will use 40 grams to make the face, and the 10 grams will be used to create the neck and the arm. Okay. So I've got a little scale. Obviously, if you don't have a scale, you will need to approximate the sizes. Just setting the scale to 0. Sorry. Okay, so just see where 40 grams are, 32, 37, and so on. Usually when I do my figurines, I don't necessarily scale up, but just to make everything clear. Okay, so with the 40 grams, I'm just going to roll into a ball shape. I know everybody says ball shape, but that's practically the basic shape on modeling. So just trying to remove all the cracks. It's very easy to remove those cracks if you use the Saracino modeling paste. So as you can see, I've got kind of a ball shape in place. I'm going to flatten this a little, trying to match the size of my printing. Now, as you can notice on the printing, the chin is a bit pointed, and I'm going to point this by just pinching the paste. You will leave marks onto this fondant, but all you need to do, is literally just to soften. You will still be left with a pointed chin. And then you squash. In case that you want the back of the head to remain round, you can use a cradle, like a support. But to be honest, because I'm going to put some hair in the hat, I really don't care about how this is going to look like. Okay, so as you can see, nice pointed chin. And the head. It does match the size of my printing. Yeah. But in case that you are a novice on modeling, what you can do is literally to cut out the head, just to give you an example, or whatever you might want to do a different type of figure, not this particular one. Okay, put that right on top of your paste. Make sure that it's got the size required. And you can also mark, maybe just using the needle tool. Yeah, you can mark where the eyes are positioned, so you can practically get the right position of the eyes or the nose or whatever. Okay. But what I'm going to do now is literally just to carry on smoothing. That's the secret of getting a nice finishing on your figures, by just using your fingers to smooth down the paste. Okay. Now, using my Dresden tool, you see the Dresden tool has got a very sharp end and one which looks pretty much like a spoon. So what you can do is literally on this area where you've got the mouth, just to mark with that sharp end the shape of the mouth. In case you're afraid you might not do a nice curved line, you can also use a nozzle. Yeah, and then just pop this nozzle and then just mark the paste, whatever you feel is more convenient and easier to do. And I will outline the corner of the mouth. Also, we'll just pinch a very, very tiny piece of red paste. It doesn't matter if you use red or pink, if you pick a fondant or gum paste. Yeah, so it's literally a tiny piece which I'm going to roll into a bowl shape, which is the basic shape, as I said, in modeling. My head got stuck. So this little piece of red paste, I'm going to pick it with my Dresden tool. I don't practically need any glue or anything. I will just pop it over the mouth, trying to secure, and then with that sharp end just bring in, just to create that kind of heart shape, and smooth the top corners to create that pretty shape. Okay, just above the mouth I need to point to outline the nose. So what I'm going to do, using the same spoony part of the Dresden tool, I will just lift the fondant a little. It's literally just digging the tool into the fondant. Yep, I do hope you will be able to see it. I will smooth down the base, but then using my thumbs, just try and press and smooth at the same time, outlining the nose, just pushing down a little the paste, and then with that smooth end of my spoony tool, that's how I intend to call it, the spoony tool, I will just smooth one side and the other of the nose. Keep running my fingers, applying a very soft pressure, just to create that kind of a nice shape. Okay. Keep smoothing and keep making the face to look nice and soft. If you've got any marks, you can always just smooth and get a nice finishing. Good. As you can see, the eyes are very large in size. They also do start pretty much close to the base of the nose. So if, say for example, if you're right-handed, I would always suggest to start marking the left side first, then the right side, because then you will be able to see what you've done on the left. So as I'm right-handed, I would start pointing from here. Yeah, so that is going to be the starting point, and from here. Okay, if you want to, you can mark where the eyes are going to go before you actually start making the eyes. Those are very basic eyes anyway. Now you do need a cutter which does have the same sort of size with your template, if you use a template. Now I've tried to look for very basic nozzles to try and suggest, because pretty much we all have nozzles around us, but unfortunately I couldn't find any to suit to the size of the eyes. For the black of the eyes, I've managed to find the number 12 from Wilton, but for the large, the white of the eyes, the only one I found to match the size is actually one of the PME round cutters. that turns up already into an expensive kind of set of tools needed. So probably the cheapest way to do it is just to pinch a small piece of white and roll it into a ball shape and flatten. If you obviously start with a ball shape and you flatten, then you will end up getting a circle. And then using a palette knife, you can lift and then just measure to see if you can match the size of the eye. If you cannot do it from your first attempt, all you need to do is literally just use a sharp knife and then just cut the excess. Okay, it will take you more time than just to use a cutter, but if you don't have the right size cutter, that would be the ideal way to do it. So literally you just create those two wide backgrounds of the eyes. You pick another piece and just do the same thing, ball shape, flatten and transfer onto your template, just to make sure that you've got the right size on both eyes. Don't do one eye and then start doing the other. Just try and do both at the same time, so it will help you to get a nice finishing. So just trying to, oops. I usually intend to print out my templates to reuse them, but I just thought if I would print out this design, it might reflect on the camera and you might not be able to see. Okay, now to stick those white dots onto my on the head of my figurine, I'm going to use some Trex. That's just a vegetable fat. In case they don't have it, you can use anything else. I'm not going to use glue. I'm not a huge fan of glue because it makes a lot of mess, and it also sticks the fondant so badly that it's very hard then to transfer in case that you want to slide the shapes or whatever. So I prefer just to use the Trex. So I'm just going to pick those eyes and place them in on top of the figure. Okay, once they are on, all you need to do is just literally just to push and secure. Okay, in case that they need a bit of adjustment, you can just enlarge or shrink just using the tool. But to be honest, the edges are not super relevant because we are going to put some eyelashes anyway. Now I did say with the black of the eye, I've managed to find the rotor, which is a number 12 nozzle from Wilton. In case that you don't have one, you can just practically use the same method we did for the white of the eyes. Just get a small piece and try to match the size of the template. But as I've got the nozzle in front of me, just to save the time as well, I will just roll some gum paste, and I'm obviously using a rolling pin. It doesn't need to be a silicone rolling pin. Whatever silicone pin or whatever rolling pin you've got handy, that would be fine. And I'm just going to cut 2 circles, 1, and I will just release using my 2, and the second. Okay, oops. Yeah, it just disappeared. And using the same Trex, just going to put some Trex in here, as I will probably use it quite often. I'm going to pick this up, so it makes my job quite easy when it comes to picking the pieces as well. And as you can see, I've got some white left underneath, so I will just put the black of the eye up, then I will take another one, put some Trex and stick it. Okay, now all I need to do is just position those black pieces and obviously to enlarge. Okay, it's literally just rubbing this up without moving the white if possible. I will just enlarge the black, trying to support the white. Just tidying up. So I just keep enlarging the white. It just doesn't want to behave properly. Again, the second one I will try to support. I think probably knows that he's live and doesn't behave as normally does. Okay, so just enlarging the black. Now this doesn't look right, so what I'm going to do, I'll just take it away, try and stretch a little. You might come across with the same problem, so let's sort it separately. Going to get my extractor knife and then just cut out that piece which doesn't want to behave properly. I'll say if you use the right size cutter, then you don't need to face this problem. But if you don't have it, you just need to play with what you've got. Good, let's transfer this back. Okay, and position in the right spot. You don't need to be super accurate as you have your eyelashes going over, so. Oops, it looks a bit weird. Let's put the eyelashes just to change the figure. It's starting to look like a little monster. Good. Now to make the eyelashes and to correct the side, I'm going to just take a very small piece of paste. Unfortunately, my gloves are black and the black paste is black as well. But I'm literally just rolling a very small piece of paste, as you can see. Try to roll it right on the board. It might not work. So just roll it in here. Trying to elongate as much as possible. And then I will just roll with my fingers and stretch in the same time. Okay, so that will need to go on top of the eye. Again, to stick, I'm just going to touch with some tricks. Place this right on the top. But that was the reason why I said you don't need to worry necessarily about the, getting a perfect finishing on the eye, because the eyelashes will just cover. And then with the extractor knife or a sharp knife, you can just cut. You will need to do the same thing on the other side. Just a very small piece of paste. Just draw it. And again, try and get it pretty much same sort of thickness with some tricks. Not a huge amount, just a little. In case you put too much tricks, that's no problem, because that practically is going to be absorbed by the paste. So don't worry. Oops, just doesn't want to listen. Sticks to my finger more than it sticks to the paste. Okay. Now I've just made that a bit too thin comparing with the others. So I'll just remove the top and try and point, as I really want to get the same sort of thickness. Okay, that looks good. Just curving this around and then use the extractor knife to cut. Good. And I will need to do the same thing underneath. Hopefully it will be quicker. Again, just rolling that small piece of black paste. Oops. Just a bit more. I know there are not hundreds of eyes watching me, but for some reason this paste doesn't want to listen. Keeps sticking. Just trying to roll so to get the both at the same time. So we'll just try and half on this piece. And then just tracks both pieces. Try and stick them on the eye. Okay, just going to pop one here. It's a bit fiddly, But yeah, figurine modeling is fiddly, so. And then we'll just do the same thing with the other bit. I think figurine modeling is pretty much for people who really want to enjoy their time. It's not for someone who is looking to do something in a rush. So, and the head is the most consuming bit always. Just cutting this excess and shaping. Just I got a bit too much white on here, so I'm just trying to lift the black piece. It's also very easy after it dries to secure it in place. So in case they want to attach it with glue, you can do it easier when it's all done. Let's see if my little monster is ready. Now I've got cotton bud here, which I'm going to use just to wipe the face a little. Now with the eyes, I'm also going to put 2 spots of white. So literally just using a small piece of white paste. I will just use a round cutter and cut just 2 sparkles, one and the other. Now just to kind of change things around, I'm going to use some glue. I usually don't use glue too much, but just for a bit of variation, I'm going to use a cotton bud and some glue. Edible glue, but it really doesn't matter what brand you use. You can also use water. This water, you are using sugar, so if you use any water, the sugar will dissolve, the water will dissolve the sugar, and you will make the paste to stick. So I've got some left on my hand. I'll put the other one in here. You can definitely see I'm not a very good friend with the glue. Okay, now I spoiled the face a little, so I'm just going to smooth that down. That can happen, so don't get panicked if it happens. And also I need to slide the eye, but we'll just leave everything to set, and then I will slide the eye. As you can see, kind of moved. It's not quite in the right place. Or I can just push the nose a little, and that will do. Okay. So I've got the head ready, and I will just leave it on the side. I know it looks weird, but when you will have the hair and everything else put on, it will look completely different. Okay. Going back to the figure. Yeah. What I've got to do is also the sailor cap or hat, you want to call it. So I'm going to do the top first. Now on the printings, I've suggested to pick 100 grams of paste, whatever color you prefer. I'm going to use white, and then I will just dust this with a brush. But in case they want to use a colored paste, you can go for a colored paste and do it maybe just like I did in here with blue and white. I'm going to do it in white, and then I'll just brush with blue. So I'm going to pick 20 grams of paste, white paste. That's 23. That's just over 20 grams. And I'm just going to do this upper part. Okay. Again, just a ball shape. Okay, and I will just flatten a little, and just practically I want one part to remain round and the other one to get flat. It's like making a semi-sphere. I'll pop my finger on the flattened end and try to enlarge, keeping that part round. As you can see in here, that's quite round. You can also use the rolling pin to enlarge, as it might take you a longer time to do it with your fingers. And then you can just smooth the edge. That can also work for the cup of a mushroom, in case you're planning to make one as a decoration. Okay, Once I've got this little cap in place, that is going to practically go on top of the head. Not now, a bit later, but I just want to make it and give it a bit of time to dry. I'm going to use a sharp tool, like a palette knife or knife, whatever, and I will just draw a few lines. I literally just want to make those indentations. So you can use any kind of sharp tool. It can be the Dresden tool, it can be a knife, whatever. So I'm just going to cross some lines. Always need to control the pressure. Don't press too hard, yeah. See, that is the little hat, which is going to go on top of her head. Yep, put that on the side. Then I will also need to add an extra bit of paste, which I will do a bit later. I'm going to start making the bride, the hair. Yeah. So to make the bride, I'm going to use a piece of brown paste. I suggested about 30 grams of paste to make the hair, but it's literally depends on if you want to put just one bride or if you want to put two, or how you want to. You might want to go for a different type of hair. So I'm just picking one piece, just for your knowledge. I've got about 13 grams in here, but the quantity is not extremely relevant. I'm going to start rolling with my fingers, but I do have a decent control over the pressure, so it's no problem for me to get quite a kind of a uniform rope. In case you get a bit struggle in getting that uniform shape, you can use a smoother and then just smooth, because practically you will need to get a very fine finishing. Okay, so just keep going, keep stretching and rolling. You can do it with your hands. I sometimes do find it's easier to do it with my hands than with the smoother. So just keep rolling, but try and maintain that even. If it doesn't stay even, just get your smoother and roll over, and you will turn up looking even. And practically I need about, that's kind of a 6-inch long string of hair, so we'll just need 3 of them to obviously make the bride. This is not Saracino, this is by Bora sugar paste. It's a great sugar paste to work with. It's practically great for modeling. The only reason why I don't use it all the time is because if I need something to dry fairly quick, then it just doesn't work, especially if it's a heavy figure like ours. So we need to build up, you know, the figure, the body, and a big head on top of that body in like less than an hour. So I will use Saracino modeling, chocolate modeling paste for the body, but for the hair I'm going to use the Bora. Absolutely love this sugar paste and the way it works. So I've got 3 pieces which I'm going to join in one end, and then literally just do the same thing like you do when you bride the hair. It's very easy. It's not going to stick. It will just be perfect to bride. Just very quick one. Did say if you've got any questions. I do hope you can hear me. I do hope you can see me. In case that there is any problem, let me know, and I will make sure next time I will correct all the downsides. But if you've got any questions in regards with the tools, with the paste, whatever, please post them and I will reply to them later. Okay, so literally what I'm going to do is just pinch the end, and then yeah, obviously this is far longer than the one I need, so I'm just going to pinch the top as well. Yeah, you can also attach a bit more so-called hair right at the base. You want to give more texture, oops, sorry, you can put the tool over and then just create more texture. Okay, also to make the bow, literally I will just roll some paste, and this is again the Saracino modeling paste in white. So just a very a thin layer of paste. And I'm also going to cut in kind of a rectangular shape. Size-wise, again, it's not relevant. Depends on how big you want that bow to be like. But and it's not a perfect rectangle. Don't get stressed about this. I'm just going to cut this in half. So I'll probably say it's just over an inch, or about 3 centimeters long, and about 1.5 centimeters or 3/4 of an inch wide. And I'm going to pick this up and I will fold, but I will fold, I will fold without squashing, so I still want some volume right here. And I will just fold the ends, yeah, creating this kind of a bow looking or loop looking shape. Okay, do the same thing with the other bit. So just attach the ends, fold, and literally just overlap those two pieces. It doesn't matter if you've got a bit of excess in here, that's absolutely fine. You will just put this over and then just press and tidy up. Okay, with whatever piece I've got left ready rolled, I will just cut a small strip and put this over to secure, in case that you want to use a bit of glue. At this point I've got a brush, or you can use that cotton bud which I've suggested previously. Yeah, so it's just a really tiny amount of glue. You can hardly see that glue, so don't put too much, as the glue, it just makes everything very, very watery, sticky, and so on. So just flip this over. Whatever excess you've got, you can cut off. Okay, you can also give a bit more effect. It's like a fabric effect, so it doesn't need to look perfect. Yeah, more creases will just make it to look more natural. And what I need to do is just literally put a bit of moisture. That is literally with a touch of glue or water. I did say about the water. Water will also do. And I'm just going to press this down. So this again will have the chance to get pretty much firm, not dry, but firm, till I will reach that point of using it. So I've got the cap, I've got the head. The lips are slightly offside, but that's it. She's kind of cheeky, so. And I've got the bride and the bow. Let's start making the body now. Just take those away so that you can practically see what happens. Right at the end I will just lift off the camera, but I'm just thinking at this point you might want to see the details more than to see me or see the environment. Okay, so I'm going to pick that piece of paste, the one which I've suggested to get 100 grams of it right at the beginning. You can mix the colors and whatever. In case you mix the colors at this stage, you need 2 small pieces. To be honest, top of my head, I've got no idea how much that will be, but just to make the shoes, I presume you need somewhere around 5 grams for both. So I've got 3.7. So if you are that type of cake decorator who really needs the exactly quantities, then it's 5 grams to make the both shoes. So I'm going to roll this piece of paste in one, and I will elongate. Always when you make things in pair, it's always good to start with one single piece and then cut in half, so you get like even quantities: 2 shoes, 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 ears, whatever. So whatever you work in pairs, it's good to start with one piece and cut in half. Okay, then you get one of the pieces, roll into a ball shape. The reason why I roll into a ball shape, start rolling, is the basic shape, and plus it helps me to get rid of all the cracks. And then I will elongate pretty much like a bean shape. Okay, then with my palette knife, I will just put like an indentation. I'm not going to spend too much time in making the shoes too complicated. This is kind of a basic figurine modeling, but that's just to outline the sole of the shoe. Okay, after embossing that line to mark the sole, you can also put texture on the sole if you like, but I'm not going to get into that kind of detail. Or you can put laces if you like, but that's all I'm going to do. Yeah, literally just shape that into a bin shape, or a little sausage, or a log, whatever you want to call it, and then just outline the sole of the shoe. And then stretch a little, just to give it a bit of a shape. Okay, try and make them both to look the same. Now that I've put that line, I need to put the line in here, and then just at least mimic now, you know, a bit of a texture. You can also use a designer wheel and create more. I mean, yeah, as I said, this is just a basic modeling, so I don't want to spend too much time on this. Now I'm going to pick another piece of paste. I will keep working with white, and then I will color after. I need to make the trousers. Okay, to make the trousers, I literally need about 10 grams for each leg. Okay, you can make a very long sausage and fold in half, but what I'm going to do, I will make them separately, just because I want to put this kind of a bend on one of the legs. You can definitely make it even if you use a very long log, but I'm going to make it separately just to make it more relevant. So I'm going to start with the straight part. Now with this straight leg, if you look at the template, with this straight leg, I'm going to set a long wooden skewer. I practically don't need it very long, but I want to make sure that my figure will have enough support. So this part will be inserted into the dummy till the whole figure will get dry. Okay, so literally I'm going to insert that leg. Oh, sorry, I will insert the wooden skewer through that leg. Okay, and then I will build up the rest of the body. Yeah, so you'll see how much I've got spare to actually insert onto the dummy. That will make sure that my figure, even if it's fresh and it's very heavy, it will stay in one piece. So I'm going to start making that leg, and I'm going to use 10 grams for those of you who want to kind of take notes about the quantities. Okay, that's 18 so far, too much. 12. Sorry, did I say did I say it 10? It might be 20. Sorry, my memory, I think, is just not good. Yeah, it's 20. Sorry, my mistake. So 20. I don't know why I said 10. I see sometimes I do things without measuring, and just put my brain into trouble. Okay, so a piece of 20 grams per leg, so 40 grams in total. Again, starting with a ball shape to get rid of all the cracks, and then I will extend into a log shape. Now that log shape should match the length of the leg, but the reason why I've got a bit more than is required right here, I'm going to start rolling. I will put this next to the figure, and then with that excess, I'm going to trim it, because I literally want to fold and create that kind of effect like is seen on the photo. So this piece, I'm going to roll it separately. It's easier to get the shape I want by just starting with a sausage shape, and then I will just flatten this with my rolling pin. Try and apply a kind of a uniform pressure so it turns up in more like a strip. Okay, then I'm going to get this leg, go back to my figure. Yeah, this is a bit longer because I need to put it on a wooden skewer. If it makes sense, this is practically going to be part of the body, as I'm going to dress this part with like a top, and it will practically be the base of the body. You will see as we go along. Okay, so I'm going to get my wooden skewer, which is a very long one, and I'm going to start inserting this through the paste. It doesn't matter which way you insert, but I prefer to use the sharp end to insert. And when I insert, I intend to twist and push, not just push, because that will just squash the fondant and you will turn up with a horrible looking kind of sausage. And also you can control easier if it goes through the center or if it goes off center. Okay, now I'm going to smooth, but as I've mentioned before, this will practically need to be positioned pretty much here. Now, if you've got a bit more excess on the top, you can always trim that down with a plier or something, but I will just try and stick here. Ideally would be to brush a bit of glue in here, stick the leg in the right position, then leave it to dry overnight. Obviously, we don't have the option of doing such a thing, so I'm going to still get a bit of glue, but just a touch of glue, and just rub that along the wooden stick, and then position this into the right spot, and then just roll a little, just to give the fondant the chance, the modeling paste the chance to get stuck. If you look at the design, I've got some creases which I'm going to create by using a veining tool. So just put a few creases here and there, just push in the fondant. It just creates the effect of a creased fabric. Okay, then with this piece left, all I need to do is literally just to overlap this at the base of the trousers, just looking for my brush with the glue. I'm not going to use too much glue, just a little. Let's see if you can see, I'm just touching with. This glue works like the super glue. When you use super glue, you practically brush the glue on both surfaces which you are about to stick, and then you leave that for a little while, and then you stick them together. If you put too much glue, it's just not going to work. So I'm going to pop this over, and I will also try to create some creases just to give that kind of a natural look of the trousers. Double check if the wooden skewer is still in the right position. Okay, and also I'm going to insert one of the shoes. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this in towards the base of the shoe, yeah, if that makes sense. I hope it does. I'm going to put a bit of glue in here and attach. Again, double check to make sure that the wooden skewer is still in the same position. Good. And that will just be placed on the side. I'm going to put it on the side on one of my dummies, and you will see that a bit later. Okay, I think I need to break it as it's far too tall, but anyway, a bit cranky, but fine. Now doing the second leg. Now with the second leg, this is bended. I need 20 grams, like I said, so no 10. Apologize for being so silly and saying 10. Don't know where my mind was when I said 10. Okay, so I've got 19.5, 20 grams. So 20 grams to do the second leg. Same thing will happen. I will just pinch a little piece of paste and roll it as a little log to get that overlap piece of fabric. By the way, in the meantime, while I've got just a spare minute, I would like to thank you for watching me live. But anyway, the video will be available, and you can always pick information after. I do hope you will find something interesting in here to make you to rewatch this video whenever you need, and other videos which I'm going to post. Okay, so going back to this piece of paste, I will just roll it into a sausage, same like I did previously. Now on the list of materials, consumables, which I've uploaded before starting the demo, I've put a note about a wire, floral wire. I know some of you might think, oh, why would I put a wire onto the figure? Because it's made out of sugar. I presume it's going to be an edible figurine. You can practically skip that wire, and when you dry the figure, you literally just stick this leg on the other leg, which we've just did, and then you put something underneath and you leave that to dry, and it will dry, but it will be quite, you know, fragile, so you need to look after it after, because you can very easily break it, but it will dry and it will be secure. The reason why I'm using a wire now is because I want this to kind of get set fairly quick, as I need to ensemble the figure. Yeah, but you can definitely make it without a wire. So I'm going to kind of squash a little the top, because I want that fullness of the hip. Okay. Then where the knee is, I'm going to add some creases. More creases as I go along. Same like I did previously, as I don't want the leg to look too stiff. I'm also going to push with my fingers. You've noticed, just pushed. And then in here, that strip, I need just a little bit of glue. And I'll just do exactly the same thing, attaching this strip. In case it turns up a bit too long, just trim it or just push it or whatever. It's just a piece of fabric, so it will not matter. You can put more creases. And also I'm going to put the shoe, but I will put the shoe after putting the wire. The thickness or the gauge of the wire, that's how we measure the thickness of the wires, is called gauge. Yeah, so the gauge is 26, so it's quite bendable, very easy to bend. If you use a very thick one, then it will not bend properly. So I'm going to stretch and insert this through the leg, but gently, like I did with the wooden skewer, just twisting and pushing. Oops, see? Luckily there is just a piece of wire and it did not affect the fondant too much, but that is literally what happens if you push and you don't know control where everything goes. And also the wire is very soft. Now I only need a little bit of wire right on the end to support the shoe, so I'm just going to bend the leg, put the creases back as they were. Okay, eventually if you want to do the same sort of angle, you literally bend now the wire, not the paste, if you want the same kind of angle like the one in the photo template. Okay, and then the shoe, just a touch of glue. And then you insert the wire. If you want, you can bend this a little. I'm going to use a scissor. Yeah, I can bend this a little, or I can cut with my scissor. Yeah, so it's a very soft wire. You don't need necessarily a plier for it. Yeah, so that's how it's going to work like. Okay, so I've got the second leg ready. Now what I'm going to do in the next few seconds, I will lift up the camera so you've got a better view as I'm going to start building the body, rolling the paste to do the rest of the figure. You will need to practically see what happens, so the camera will get shaky for a little while, so I need to apologize for this, but I'm just going to lift this a bit more, hopefully give you a better viewing about what's going to happen right here. Good, super. So I've got the first leg, I've got all the beads which I've already created. Now with this piece of, oops, see, the wooden skewer is far too long even if I've trimmed some away. So with this leg, all I need to do is literally just to stick this with some glue. Yeah. If, for example, you don't care about the fact that the figure is not edible, you can just twist the wire and then you are all good to go. Set the body and so on. Yeah. But if you want to keep it edible, then I will just glue both legs. Yeah. And then I will just put something underneath to help the leg to get dry. Okay. Good, good, good. Just trying to look now for, I can see if I can. Okay, just I want to see if you see what I want you to see. Trying to turn this into silence, because if not you will have too much in here. Good. So I've got the lower part of the body done. What I need to do now is literally just to roll some paste. I've got the white paste left from that 100 grams. I'm going to roll it. Okay, really the shape is not important at this point. I want to make like a top for my little figure. I did say I don't necessarily need a body for this figure. I'm going to use this as a template, yeah, and literally just wrap that piece of strip of paste around the top of the legs and mimic like is a top, and it shows like the upper part of the body. So I'm going to just cut a strip. I've got this as a guide, so that's the height of the top, and I only need that much width wise. And then if that's the width of the girl, then the top will be double in size, so I only need to trim that much. As you can notice, I've rolled this just a bit thicker than I would normally do. Okay, then I'm going to get my wooden skewer and my brush, and then just put a bit of glue in here, or put some glue, but just a little bit on that piece of paste. Oops. And I will just wrap it around. Obviously this template, it shows a little figure, a cute figure, which doesn't have the right human proportions. I think you've noticed, yeah. So don't get panicked, because the body is not going to show like the body of a real person, but I think she looks quite cute. Okay, so that's all I need to do. I'm sure you kind of notice that is a very tiny upper body comparing with the size of the lower part of the body. Okay, but that's all I need. Okay. Now to make the neck, as there is no neck in here, I'm going to use just a small piece of skin tone paste, which I'm going to roll. Oops. Like a little sausage, and then I will squash. If you prefer, you can just use the rolling pin and just roll. I'm just going to squash. And if you notice in here, there is just a little bit of that skin tone showing. So I'm going to do that bit. We're putting that right here. Don't worry if it doesn't look tidy. Literally all I want is to get a bit of a skin tone in here. That's all I want to know, to see. Good. And now with my paste, I will just roll it and cut a few strips. Now to cut the strips freehand, I will roll the paste fairly thin, and I will leave it stuck to the surface, so I will not lift the paste, because if I will lift it, I will not be able to cut straight strips. I can do the strips by, freehand. If you need a ruler, you can definitely just use a ruler and cut. Yeah, I'm okay. Excuse me. So I can just cut those strips one by one. Literally, I need the strips to put all the details of the top. Yeah, so I'm just going to cut those strips. If you've got a strip cutter, you can use the strip cutter, or you might have a pasta machine or whatever. I don't need them quite super accurate, so I'll be just fine to cut my hand. I'll just peel the excess, and as I'm going to, if you notice on the design, the top is white, but all those decorations, I'll call it, are different in color, like blue. So I'm going to brush them with some blue. I've got a bit of a blue dust, and it's going to be the same one which I'm going to use to color the trousers. So I'm just going to put a bit of blue in here, just plain dust. It's edible dust. We normally use it to either paint on figures or to paint on flowers or whatever. I'm going to get those strips on top of my tissue, as if I don't use this tissue then my whole working surface will turn up blue. And I've got a little brush which I'm going to use and just literally just brush those strips in blue. That will just save me the hassle of coloring the paste or using different color paste, whatever. But they can also be white. You don't necessarily need to make them blue or colored. Good. So on here, all I need to do now is to apply either some Trex or some glue. On this particular occasion, I'm going to use the Trex just to make sure that I don't put any stains on my figure. So I'm going to get my Trex and a cotton bud. Wait, I think that's got a bit of a red color. Okay, and I'm just going to rub a little bit on here on the edge. So on my design, I've got on the top a strip of paste right here, and there is another one if we look at the design just a bit up, and definitely one below that skin color paste. Okay, so I'm just going to pick one of the strips. Oops, it got stuck on my paper. In case that the paste gets dirty, nothing to worry about, because it can be washed. You can either get a cotton bud and clean, or you can literally just wash with a damp tissue and it will get dry. In case that it gets too glossy, you can add some corn flour or icing sugar and remove the glossy look. Now I've got the other bit to attach right here. I'm going to cut one small strip to make sure I don't need to kind of get panicked of maneuvering such large pieces of paste. Okay, so that will just go below. Okay, and another one right here on the edge of the top. It's a bit tricky to keep everything safe and also visible to you. Okay, and now to make that little bow, I'm going to practically use one small piece of paste which was pre-dusted. So I've got traces of color in here that will just color my fondant, and I'm going to roll this. I don't need a kind of a perfect blue colored, but if I want to get blue I can just brush with more dust. And all I need to do is literally to cut 2 triangle shapes. They don't necessarily need to be identical in size, approximately the same size. Okay, and I'm just going to fold one, make kind of a scarf. Okay, and that will just be attached to the top. I think I've made it a bit too big, but too large in size, but it will be fine. Good, so I'm going to refer to my figure, get some glue, just rub the glue in here, put this on, press with a tool. And it's all done. Okay, now I've got to make the arm, I mean the sleeve and the arm. The second one practically cannot be seen. You can practically duplicate the one I'm going to make now, and then just put the second one on the back, but literally you can't really see it on the template as she's keeping the second arm on the back. So I'm not going to waste the time now to do it, but yeah, you can definitely make another one and attach. So just a very small piece of paste. You see, I need to match the size of the arm in the photo, so it's literally a very tiny piece. If I will take the measurements, probably that would be like a gram worth of paste. Okay, then I can use my spoonie tool, yeah, and just put like an indentation. Ideally will be to have a cone tool if you've got one, because that will just be the natural shape. But if we try to stick with a little equipment, then we'll use the spoonie tool. Then you can attach some, you can put some glue, or you can just attach this to the figure. Considering that the fondant and the paste, whatever, is all fresh, it should be okay. But in case that you feel it's already dry, you can definitely just put a bit of glue to attach. I think in my case I'm going to be fine. Yeah, so that is just the sleeve. And then I'm going to make now the arm, literally just a small piece of skin tone. Just a little. It doesn't actually show the details of the hand. I can only see the elbow, but I'm pretty sure it will be fine, even if the, you know, the hand, it will not be perfectly finished. It's just trying to mimic and get the appearance of a hand. So I'll just flatten the end. It's a very, very basic type of hand because it will be behind, so it will not even be seen. But if I want to mimic the shape, like in the design, so literally that goes from the sleeve down, then I've got the elbow, but then the hand goes behind the back. Okay, now I'm going to fill the socket of that sleeve with some brush with some glue. Don't overfill thinking that you need a lot of glue, just a little with whatever I had left. So I will insert the arm, and that will go behind the figure. Okay, and you can stick it on the back, and it's done. So we've reached that point where we've got practically the body almost done, and we need to start putting the head, the hair, and the rest. Now going back to the head, I'm just going to try and correct the eyes a little if I can. If not, I'll probably stick, because as you can see, I've got that little guide, dotty guide, which I've used right at the beginning, which is kind of uncovered, and it just doesn't look right. But I think I will just leave it as it is. I think it looks all right. Okay. Good. Now with whatever brown I've got left, I will just put her some hair. As you can see in here, just a little bit of hair one side and the other, and then I will attach that bride and then put the hat and carry on with the rest. I will finish the head, and then I will stick the head on top of the figure. After, I will just brush the trousers with some blue. Okay, so just a small piece of brown. If you need the quantity, I think it's somewhere around 8 to 10 grams. 8 grams will do for me. Okay, it's literally just to try and mimic some hair, because I will have the hat on. This is not going to be seen properly, so okay. So just going to roll this into kind of a sausage, bowl shape first, and then a sausage. And really what I want to do is to get the both ends of this sausage quite pointy. Okay, and then I will just roll in between and through the center, and I will just mark a line and then put the head texture one side, then the other, and then right on the front I will just pinch, put a bit of a head texture, 1 and the other. Then I will get the head, put some glue. And attach. As you can see on the photo, she doesn't have any eyebrows because the hair practically just covers the whole thing. But you can definitely put her some in case they want to have fun. I'm not going to, but you can definitely do it. In case they want to put more texture on the hair, with a scissor you can just snip, make her do her a nice haircut if you want. Okay, she's looking quite weird now. Good. Now with this bride that can be attached to the back, you can also put some hair right on the back. Let's do that just in case that it will be seen. So all I need to do is literally just to roll a small piece of paste, brown paste, and attach it to the back of the head. I'm going to just put a bit of hair texture, but I don't have time to spend too much on those details, so it's literally just putting a bit of hair texture. Then some glue. Only need this on the lower side of the head because I will have the hat over. That's not going to be seen, so I only need a little, and I'm going to trim with a scissor. Also, I can catch this right underneath just to make sure it stays secure. Okay, then I've got the other bit going on top, and all I need to do is just to put the strip over. To make the strip, I will just roll a small piece of paste. I need enough paste to kind of cut a strip 2 times long than the one I see in here, the length which is visible. Okay, so literally just tidying up one end, and I'm going to kind of measure how much I need, and I will fold in two. Okay, the width, going to measure the width, it should be that much, so I'll just cut. Now before attaching, I can mark that symbol. I'm going to use a food marker. Got PME food marker in here. One and is thin, one and is a bit thicker. It doesn't matter which one, but I'm just going to use the thick one. I've got one small circle and a larger circle. Then I've got a straight line. Then I've got another small circle. Then another line down, and then a curve arrow one side and the other. Okay, good. So getting to her head, I can also put her a bit of a blush on the cheeks, and on the mouth. Get the hat, and with the hat I will use the blue dust first, just to highlight the bits. Now even on the photo you see that blue is not like even, it just looks a bit washed off, and you can also put a bit of pink as well if you want. in here I will just be quite careful, as if I would touch with blue, you will probably smudge the paint. I'm also going to run a bit of glue along this strip, or you can also put tracks, and I'm going to put some glue inside of the cap just to secure it on the head. So I'll just put this first on the head, and then this bit over and around, stretching to get to the right size, and then just flip this fondant over. Good. And all I need to do now is to put everything together. Oh, sorry, forgot to brush the trousers a little. So just a bit more blue. Not too much, just a little. And then just highlight. If you're looking for a perfect finishing on the color, then you can just use colored paste. For me, this will do. I mean, literally you can carry on adding color with a brush and turn up the trousers and in a full even color if you like, but I'm not going to do it here. Just going to just touch up to get a bit of a thing in here. Okay, and all I need to do now is to set the head. Now if you look at the template again, you notice that she's keeping her head slightly tilted. Yeah, so I need to do practically the same sort of thing. So that's pretty much how she should stay. Oops. Trying to keep this so that you can see. Okay, so I'm just going to push this through her head. Sorry, darling. Just gently. And obviously the face will kind of get squashed, so I just need to smooth the face a little. And set the bride a little by just maybe using a bit of glue to secure the bow in here. Okay, so that's my little sweetie, made in an hour. Trying to put this on the side so it will stay secure. Okay, let me just get this off and just show you. Yeah, they look like sisters. Obviously the one we've made in an hour, it doesn't look like the one which I did spending a bit more time, but it still looks all right. So I'm sure if you will try to make one in, you know, being more relaxed, you will be able to do a better job than I did. Okay, so thank you very much for watching me, and hopefully I will see you back soon. Thank you.